customer grouping and customer mapping exercises require that you put yourself in the shoes of your customer, right? What they will not tell you in most business schools is that empathy is the world's greatest business model, right? If you cannot enter into that empathy, because you will just be wondering, why didn't I see that? Why didn't I see that innovation? Why didn't we do that? Because your heart was in the wrong place, you know? So that process of always being in the shoes of your customer makes you ask the question, what was in God's heart when he created the heavens and the earth? Love. So love is the first core value of every entrepreneur. You must be looking, every spark of brilliance, every innovative idea that changed the world started with the thought, how can I help people? How can I make the lives of people better? So you need to be able to have the capacity to walk through a street and say, that's not efficient. People are, how do I do that? That's where the business comes. That's where the business comes. And we'll talk about this thing over the course of these 12 classes, right? So you see Joseph of Arimathea, rich disciple. I put the word rich there deliberately so that you know that economic empowerment is part of God's redemption plan. In fact, when I hear things like as far as the church, I just get angry. The fact that those things stuck over the years is annoying. Christian nations with predominant Christian populations are the poorest in the world. Because the model of Jesus that was taught is wrong. It's not the Jesus that, and because it was used as a tool to keep people down rather than empower people. So it was used as a tool to build buildings and keep people down. That's why if you go to Turkey, Macedonia, Paul talked about it. They're all museums. All those cathedrals are museums. Now, after building the cathedrals, they're now museums. So we have to think about that model, right? Every gospel event or activity that you get yourself involved in that doesn't have people at the center is not the gospel. It's something else. If you read Jesus' manifesto in Isaiah, which he later read in the New Testament again, he said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, for he has anointed me to. He now started listing what he was anointed to. Right? Heal the sick. It's all impact. It's all about impact on people. In fact, when John started to get disillusioned about why Jesus was here, he sent his disciples to Jesus. And he said, are you the one we were expecting? Or should we expect another? What was Jesus' response? Nada. He didn't say anything. He just increased the rate at which he was carrying out his mandate. Right? Matthew 11. And the Bible says the deaf heard, the lame walked, the blind saw, the dead were brought back to life. He said the poor had the gospel preached to them. See Jesus looking for trouble. The poor, he didn't give them money. He said the poor had, okay, so let's do scenario. Let's do this scenario. Just be there with me before you say I'm preaching another gospel. So he categorized them. He said you are blind. See. You are deaf. Here. Bring the dead. Raise up. The lame. Walk. He said if you are poor, come to this side. Those ones would have been happy. Alaye Baba. He said, Peter, go and preach the gospel to them. They don't understand it. That's what he said. That poverty can only exist consistently in an atmosphere where the gospel is not understood. Because then where is the Lord is my shepherd? I shall not want. Where are all those things? We have to ask ourselves those questions. Where is his divine power has given me everything I need for life And godliness to the knowledge of him that called me for his own glory and goodness. God told me, he said, I will take care of your lifestyle. Then someone now wants to hold my money. I said, I'll not pay you before you. I said, I opened the Bible for him. I said, while they were yet few, and they moved from one nation to another, from one kingdom to another people, he did not allow anybody to oppress them. And he disciplined kings for their sake. That's what the Bible says. People just say, touch not my prophet, my anointed. They don't understand what the covenant behind it is. Let me say this, it might sound controversial, but you better believe it, that the heavens belong to the highest bidder. And men are bidding every day. If you don't place a bid, and how do you bid? 822, sacrifice. Sacrifice. I'll show you. It's in the covenant. So people are placing a bid, you are sleeping. You're not doing anything, and you say, oh, God, God. And that's entitlement. And Jesus said that this is not communism. You can't be entitled. You're not entitled to this thing. You take a hold of it. So ask yourself, and you can go home and ask, and God reveals, who is this guy, and what did he know? I like to be like this guy. If I'm going to be a disciple, let me be like this guy. Before they say it's time to pay for something, calm down, don't shout it. You see, it's true, everybody has voice, but money is the volume. Right? So let's look at light. So I've talked about light a lot, but I want to break light down now. In a way that you can use in your business. Let's break it down. I call it the quadrant of light. The first one is intelligence. It's a collection of valuable information, but it's time-bound and it's circumstantial. The problem and the sad thing is that our whole education system is calibrated on intelligence. And that's why it's not first-class students that employ everybody. In the end, you see what happens. That's where the academic institutions stop. Some kind of intelligence. But intelligence is the weakest form of light. It's good, but it's weak. The second one is knowledge. Knowledge is facts, information, skills acquired through education experience. Knowledge is deceptive because it makes you proud. It puffs up, but it doesn't do anything to your bank account. It's wicked. You just sit down in the armchair and say, I could do it, I could have been, story. Okay, philosopher, that's what we call it. The third one is wisdom. Wisdom is the quality of knowledge or good judgment or the sort of application of it at a certain level. Do you know it's possible to be wise and be poor? The Bible describes the wise man that delivered the city, said nobody remembered him. And it's frustrating when you're wise and you're poor. You're the one that did every tutorial for everybody, but you failed the exam. Have you seen those kind of people?
Yes.
Brilliant. Brilliant. But they just don't know how to connect it to life, to reality. And usually it's because they are missing certain things. I'll show you something about relationships, how you should manage people. Understanding is the end game. Until your understanding about something is complete, you are not free in that area. But once your understanding is complete, you are free. So understanding, having insight of how to get things done, how to put things together. That's why the Bible says, get wisdom. It says, in all your gettings, get understanding. Understanding is the end game, is where you must strive to be. The pattern is you must get wisdom before understanding, counsel before might. So the Bible says, get wisdom is a prerequisite for getting understanding. Then the Bible says, the spirit of counsel and might. When people try and see the might of God without his counsel, that's when nothing happens. Then they say it doesn't work. You need to hear first, what is God saying? Then his might follows. as a prerequisite to getting his counsel. So he said, the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon you, Isaiah 11. Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might. Pattern. You must learn to follow it. The Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might. So if you don't see the might of God in an area of your life, the counsel is missing. Ask for the counsel. What are you even saying about this thing? Now the first law of hearing for God is whatever you tell us we are doing. So if you say leave it, you leave it. That's where the problem is. People don't really want to leave it. But there's no point following something that there's no road. Let me tell you this. Life is on a quest to teach you lessons. The earlier you learn the lesson, the better. If you don't learn the lessons, though the characters in your life will change, the script will remain the same. And you'll be like a child that didn't pass the exam, rolling around the same place. Because I was praying and I saw it. He said, cursed is he that puts his trust in man. He said, you will not see when good comes. He said, blessed is he that puts his trust in God. He will not see when heat comes, which means there will be heat, you will not see it. He said, we're not saying there will not be heat. He said, we're saying you will not see it. At the same time, we're not saying there will not be good. We're saying God will be doing good things around you. You will not see it because you have put your trust in man. Right? So the counsel of God, this is God's mode of operation, before his might. When you try to engage his might without his counsel, it will be empty. Right? So understanding drills down on what wisdom knows by asking the question, how? You might have you might be wise, but you might not know how to traffic your wisdom. Do you understand that? Okay. Let me show you how that is. Counsel is hearing God's direction about an idea, and it's more important than rushing to implement. Right? Let me show you. So counsel is advice or purpose. Might is the power. Both of them lead to peace, progress, and prosperity. Ezekiel put it this way. Ezekiel said, God was talking to the king. He said, by thy wisdom, one, and traffic, you have made yourself wealthy. When I saw it, it hit me. I said, traffic in the Bible, in the Old Testament. He said, yes, traffic. That means that the path to wealth is to find your wisdom and learn how to traffic it. That means that this wealth thing is a game of numbers. The more people whose lives you impact, the more money you are allowed to make and keep. It's not about work, it's about people. That's why I said people are God's priority. So I was asking, and I ask people every time, and I'll ask you guys the same thing. Do you think Lionel Messi makes too much money? Let's be honest. So don't lie. Don't give me the answer you think I want to hear. Set your heart and tell me the truth. What do you feel? You know you have opinions about this. So I went to Barcelona just to investigate this idea. Europe has this style where in the middle of the road they sell gelato and there were these guys who just put their carts down and selling Messi bobbing heads and jerseys and key holders and all that. It hits me immediately that this guy has created a whole economy for a city. Yes. So I went back to my rabbi, Daniel Lapin, and he said, the more people whose life you touch, the more money you are allowed to make and keep. It still didn't sit well with me. Just like Shabbat. Then I now saw it in Ezekiel. He said, through your wisdom and traffic. So your goal on the wealth journey is to traffic the wisdom. The guy we are talking about may not care about. I think the problem is when he cares about the money too much. He may not even care about it. He may just want to play the soccer. So traffic is another principle in wealth. How do I ensure that as many people as possible are blessed by this innovation of mine? So you have to make that product something that all nations of the earth can be blessed through. Right? So people are God's priority. Anything you do that doesn't prioritize people is not the gospel. People are God's priority. And that's why Jesus in Isaiah 61:1 said to good tidings to the meek, bind up the brokenhearted, proclaim the liberty to the captives, and open the prison door to them that are bound, right? So I said through wisdom and traffic. And it was Daniel Lapin, like I said it, that the more people whose lives you impact, the more wealth or money you are allowed to make and keep. So if you want to check it, it's Ezekiel 28 verse 5. It says, by your great wisdom and traffic, you have increased your riches. It's a principle. So some of you might need to go online. Some of you might need to globalize your sickle, that which you use to do business. You might need to globalize your approach. Some of you might need to look at markets you've never looked at before. Instead of staying in oversaturated markets. Imagine you are here now in South America, you are the next thing since rice and beans. And you're shipping containers, over there. You might need to open your eyes, and that opening eyes requires you to love people.